Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our Superior Poetry Café. Can you hear me, or should I turn it up? Okay. I'm Susan James, Assistant Director here at Bayliss Library, and I welcome you. Renee Dreiling was born in Muskegon and raised in Central Lake. She served for 8 years in the Air Force and earned a degree in political science from the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. She's been a frequent reader at our open mics and was recently the featured poet at our Pickford branch. She's currently working on her first chapbook. After her reading, we'll take a short break before our open mic. We have a list back there if you want to sign up to read your poetry or perform. So please welcome Renee Dreiling.
Thank you. Okay, this is the part where I forget everything I was going to say.
That makes it spontaneous.
Last fall, when Mustard's Retreat was here, they did a song based on the old childhood poem of Winkin', Blinkin' and Nod. And I went home that night and I got out my old Childcraft book of poems and started thinking about this beginning and where I've been since then. And I want to start with one of those. I won't do Winkin', Blinkin' and Nod. And I'm going to do a few poems tonight that are part of my influences, part of my journey of starting to write my own things. This is called The Jumblies, and it's by Edward Lear. They went to sea in a sieve, they did. In a sieve they went to sea, in spite of all their friends could say. On a winter's morn, on a stormy day, in a sieve they went to sea. And when the sieve turned round and round, and everyone cried, "You'll all be drowned," they called aloud, "Our sieve ain't big, but we don't care a button, we don't care a fig. In a sieve we'll go to sea. Far and few are the lands where the Jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. They sailed away in a sieve, they did. In a sieve they sailed so fast, with only a beautiful pea-green veil tied with a ribbon by way of a sail to a small tobacco pipe mast. And everyone said who saw them go, "Oh, won't they be soon upset, you know? For the sky is dark and the voyage is long, and happen what may, it's extremely wrong in a sieve to sail so fast. Far and few are the lands where the Jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. The water it soon came in, it did. The water it soon came in. So to keep them dry they wrapped their feet in a pinky paper all folded neat, and they fastened it down with a pin. And they passed the night in a crockery jar, and each of them said, 'How wise we are! Though the sky be dark and the voyage be long, yet we never can think we were rash or wrong, while round in our sieve we spin. Far and few are the land where the Jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve.' And all night long they sailed away, and when the sun went down, they whistled and warbled a moony song to the echoing sound of a coppery gong, in the shade of the mountains brown. Oh, Timbaloo, how happy we are, when we live in a sieve in a crockery jar, and all night long in the moonlight pale, we sail away with a pea-green sail in the shade of the mountains brown. Far and few are the land where the Jumblies live. Their hands are green and their heads are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. They sailed to the western sea, they did, to a land all covered with trees, and they bought an owl and a useful cart, and a pound of rice and a cranberry tart, and a hive of silvery bees. And they bought a pig and some green jackdaws, and a lovely monkey with lollipop paws, and 40 bottles of ringlerie, and no end of Stilton cheese. Far and few are the land where the Jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. And in 20 years they all came back, in 20 years or more, and everyone said how tall they've grown, for they've been to the lakes in the Torrible Zone, and the hills of the Chankly Bore. And they drank their health and gave them a feast of dumplings made of beautiful yeast. And everyone said, if we only live, we too will go to sea in a sieve to the hills of the Chankly Bore. Far and few are the land where the Jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. So I found myself, was continually drawn back to poetry, and along the way, my grandmother encouraged me a lot. She always seemed to have something tucked away that was interesting for me, and our high school librarian even let me take library books home over the summer. And somewhere in my teenage years, I watched a Clint Eastwood movie and discovered Edgar Allan Poe through the poem of Annabel Lee that was used in the movie. So I wanted to read that one tonight. It's one of my favorites. It was many, many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, but envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I shall lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. And years later, I wrote a reply to that poem. I know your thought now, Annabel Lee, and I know the timelessness of a love that bows to no limits. All of the gods must surely be in awe of what we have found, and pioneers would climb back in their wagons for a chance at settling the territory we have discovered. As long as the sun shines and the moon beams, Annabel Lee, your thought will be mine. And then about 1993, I got really serious about poetry. It was no longer just a hobby. It became my one thing. And this is the poem I wrote that sort of commemorates that commitment on my part. And it's there's a little quote here from Edgar Lee Masters from a poem called Fiddler Jones. The earth keeps some vibration going there in your heart, and that is you. Out of the sun-streaked night came the revelation, at the risk of being a goony bird among hawks, accept the double dare you challenge that's taunted you since birth. Combine a bit of Yankee ingenuity with a love of old world craftsmanship. Look beyond the harmony of hosannas sung to the stars and find the vibration that is you. And those of you who come to the poetry nights know that usually when I read that poem, Frank comes up and reads the Edgar Lee Masters poem afterwards. But tonight I'm going to read it myself. Thanks, Frank. And this is Fiddler Jones. The earth keeps some vibration going there in your heart, and that is you. And if the people find you can fiddle, why fiddle you must for all your life. What do you see, a harvest of clover, or a meadow to walk through to the river? The winds in the corn, you rub your hands for beeves hereafter ready for market, or else you hear the rustle of skirts like the girls when dancing at Little Grove. To Cooney Potter, a pillar of dust or whirling leaves meant ruinous drought. They looked to me like red-headed Sammy stepping it off to Tourallure. How could I till my 40 acres, not to speak of getting more, with the medley of horns, bassoons, and piccolos, stirred in my brain like crows and robins, and the creak of a windmill, only these? And I never started to plow in my life that someone did not stop in the road and take me away to a dance or picnic. I ended up with 40 acres. I ended up with a broken fiddle, and a broken laugh, and 1,000 memories, and not a single regret. And during the teen years, there were a lot of dark poems. I know that's kind of a stereotype of poets that we sit around all alone in our little towers and write depressing poems. And I try to stay away from that as much as I can. You know, there was a time, but I'm going to read one more by somebody else because I love his humor. I think he is probably the best poet out there today that really shows how you can inject a sense of humor into poetry, and I really love him. This is Billy Collins, and this poem is called The Country. I wondered about you when you told me never to leave a box of wooden strike anywhere matches lying around the house because the mice might get into them and start a fire. But your face was absolutely straight when you twisted the lid down on the round tin where the matches, you said, are always stowed. Who could sleep that night? Who could whisk away the thought of the one unlikely mouse padding along a cold water pipe behind the floral wallpaper, gripping a single wooden match between the needles of his teeth? Who could not see him rounding a corner, the blue tip scratching across the rough-hewn beam, the sudden flare, and the creature for one bright shining moment suddenly thrust ahead of his time, now a fire starter, now a torchbearer in a forgotten ritual, little brown druid illuminating some ancient night. Who could fail to notice, lit up in the blazing insulation, the tiny looks of wonderment on the faces of his fellow mice, one-time inhabitants of what was once your house in the country. So these next poems are my attempt at a little humor. And this one is called Miss Piggy. And it was written for a coworker who was behaving badly. Miss Piggy's in a huff again, gone off in a bellicose snit, so riled at imagined indignities, she's simply tied up in fits. Miss Piggy should only blame herself, but she's such an impetuous hog. She'll blame any and all who are standing there, with coming between her and her frog. But Kermit was too smart for her. He could see she wasn't stable. He wouldn't beat her frog fillet laid out upon her table. Sometimes it's such a piggy world, and she was such a piggy bitch, that she should get her just desserts is a most delicious switch. And another thing I love about poetry is that I think it's easier to blur the lines between reality and what you're writing about, kind of like cartoons. And this one is, if you imagine the country as being a big beanbag, this is what could happen. There's a hole in Texas the size of a pea, and the U.S. don't know it, but the stuffing's running out. Pretty soon it'll fill up the Gulf, and we'll annex it and have another state bigger than Texas. No one will be able to live there, because you can't live on just stuffing. And the rest of the country's in trouble, because you can't live without it. And there's a hole in the great state of Texas, the size of a pea. This is called I'll Give You Something. It's for all the people that like to whine too much. Oh, geez. I hate it when you whine. It's too hot. It's too cold. The wind blows smoke in your face. The sun comes up in the morning in the east. The moon shines too brightly at night. The birds are too noisy. The crickets are too noisy. I am too quiet, but you never let me finish a sentence. Not enough rain, too much snow, the current's too strong, the river's too long, and the deer and the antelope incessantly play. The coffee's too dark, the tea's too sweet, the bacon is burnt, and the egg yolk's broke. Your eyes are too wide, your chin is too weak, your wife hollers at you, and your fountain pen leaks. In John frying pans? Your teams never win, your boss won't give you a raise, your mother likes your brother best, your father called you crybaby chicken shit, a mugger stole your wallet and your wife, and then shot you with his shiny gun. Oh jeez, I hate it when you whine. Over the years, I have enjoyed writing birthday poems for some of my friends. This one's for Nancy. It's called Birthdays. It was a number of years ago. A wise old man once said, Birthdays are the very essence of life. They measure the ebb and flow of time, like a river to the sea, with breezes and gusts sending ripples skittering across the surface every which way. Some people are like that, rockets that go glittering across the sky, ending in one giant burst, while others are much more sedate, and some flow so slowly by, a minnow wouldn't notice the current. But birthdays, can't help but notice them when they pass you. They make a flap, a stir, a rousing refrain, another bump in the path of life. They measure the ebb and flow of time, and like those Beatles sang, it's getting better all the time. Better, I said, because it takes a few years to simmer down the blood, to finally get a glimmer of what it's all about. And birthdays are the very essence of life. They measure the ebb and flow. And then a wiser old woman said, "Shut up and blow out the candles." And this year, I wrote a birthday poem for myself. I happened to share a birthday, day, month, year with Barbie, the doll.
Oh boy.
So this is called Made by Mattel, sharing a birthday with Barbie. Barbie isn't really 54. Not with that impossible body, hair any way she wants it, all the accessories she never had to work for. Barbie isn't really 54. Barbie isn't really 54, even with her many careers upon which she embarked at the change of a hat. It's not just a question of when she was born. Barbie isn't really 54. All those careers, and has she ever been fired, downsized, been caught in the middle of an ethical dilemma? Has she learned to become more herself with the passing of years and the body's changes? Has she learned to fuel her own dreams based in reality and to let go of what can be reached only within a child's imagination? Has she even discovered that life is so much more than just fun, fun, fun in the sun? Barbie isn't really 54. For if she were, you would see the passage of time on her face, hear the voice of experience when she speaks, speaking with no one pulling her strings, and so much more that comes with the age of 54. This is kind of my idea of Walton's religion. It's called the Wilderness Tabernacle. Down at the Wilderness Tabernacle, thanks is given to a down-to-earth God when the fish are biting well and the corn is growing high. The favorite hymn is "Thank God I'm a Country Boy." And Fiddler Jack solemnly rises to join the organist. Everyone joins hands and sings. Every Saturday night there's a moose meat spaghetti feed. Again the fiddles play as the shoeless congregation dances like there's no tomorrow, even though tomorrow always finds them faithfully in their pews. Fire and brimstone carefully thrown at them, they neatly catch it in midair. Down at the Wilderness Tabernacle, every prayer is thoughtful, aimed at providing a good life, with abundant wildlife and harvest for all. Amen. For those of you who know Jack Kinney, he kind of willingly or unwillingly was Fiddler Jack. I don't write a lot of love poems, but I'm going to do a couple now. And I could dedicate them to Al, but he knows. "I'm your knight in cotton armor," he said, a little self-deprecating, a little bit of an enigma. "I'm your knight in cotton armor," he said it again, not exactly the same, but a little more insistently. And then, "See you on the B-side with a Mick Jagger swagger and a bit of a grin," like bookends, echoing Art Garfunkel. But then I knew what he meant. A pair so alike they can hold together the whole world. And this one is Still Water. "He is like still water, and love flows clear and deep, a way of love passed down from man to male child. He weaves an abstract tapestry with his thumbs, winnows lucid energy from impure colors, a soft and jazzy rainbow of warning. She drinks, she breathes, she radiates. This portent is mixed, so, with this potion, igniting acres of illuminating candlelight, shimmering like still water. And I'm going to use that water to go right into a group of poems that are my environmental poems. This one is Ode to Water. Sing a song of water, the myth of the ocean, the lure of the sea, and the rolling of the river so deep within us. Roll on, river. Roll on, river. Manna from water, salmon divine. Salmon swimming homeward only to find man has forever ended the cycle, poisoned the water, dammed the rivers. Wade in the water, children, wade. Sing a song of water, the might of the ocean, the bounty of the sea. We'll know the value of water when there's not enough to go around and we'll all be parched and dry. Bring me little water, Sylvie. Wasteful fools fighting for your share, not willing to be fair or look to the future. Robbing our own children, how will they survive? We can't live without water. Cool, clear, water. Sing a song of water. When you hold the shell up to your ear, you hear the ocean. And when you hear the ocean, you hear the voice of God. Leave a little water. This one is called Presidential Gifts. When George W. Bush was president, he actually received a gift from the country of Sri Lanka, and it's described in a poem. And he also just received gifts from Saudi Arabia of gold and jewels. So those things actually happened. His reaction to the gifts is kind of my imagination. Presidential gifts. I wish to thank the wonderful people of Sri Lanka, the president said, for this paper made of, what is this stuff again? Cow patties? People back in Texas where I'm from, they like to toss them or heat with them, but Mr. President, the gold monogram stationery just given to you was derived from elephant dung. Well, I wish to thank the wonderful people of Sri Lanka. Have you folks heard of trees? Back in America, the land of democracy, we make our paper out of trees. Mr. President, it's a gift, an environmentally friendly gift. The N word again. Well, I wish to thank the wonderful people of Sri Lanka for this paper made of poop. Doesn't smell half bad either. I'll be sure and use it next time they invite you to America. The president then turned, got back on Air Force One, barked at the pilot, fly this thing to Saudi where they give a guy jewels and gold. And Popeye had something to say about the Gulf oil spill. I always thought oil was my friend, even married into the family, so to speak. Not that I'm comparing my sweet yet pungent olive to that awful crew destroying the Gulf. But once upon a time, ships sailed freely in the wind, and all the fishes and sea creatures swam freely below. Once upon a time, in the golden days before oil. It makes me want to swear like a sailor, the way those oily devils defile the seas and the land. I wished I could make them feel like a sailor feels, watching them murder the mother sea that spawned him. It makes me want to rev up me fists on spinach and fight them, but it's like fighting me own shadow. Impossible to separate evil from good. You can't kill the parasite without killing the host. And it's been a while since I wrote this poem, but I did a little fresh research this morning. It's about Lohachara Island, which is an island off of the India-Bangladesh coast, and it sank into the sea and made 10,000 people homeless. And they say that it has actually risen back up now, but they didn't say anything about anybody being able to move back there and live there again. But there were a number of, they're predicting that 20 million people could be displaced if sea levels rise just 1 meter. And there could be 28,000 people lose their homes by 2020. So I will continue to read this poem. It's called In Memoriam. Does this island have a name? I don't know, but it has a tense. It's past. It has a history. It's over. It had a population, but we don't know where it is, and they're homeless now, forever. Does this island have a song? It does. It sings out a warning. Remember that one? The one about love between our brothers and our sisters? The singing canary has toppled over, been sucked under the sea, and it's a warning, my brothers. We're in trouble, my sisters. This is not just any island. It is, now and forever, my island. I claim it, not as Columbus claimed America for Spain, but to identify myself with it. Ich bin ein Berliner. We are all this island. What else can I say about my island? Only that I won't let its memory die. It is a testament to our failure as good stewards of the earth. It is its own inconvenient truth. And though it is our nature to sweep our failures under the rug and forget them, and though this one has conveniently swept itself under the sea and would be so easy to forget, we must remember, in order to hope for a better future, we must not forget. This one's also an environmental poem, although it might not be immediately apparent. It's called Cake. Did someone say cake? I want cake. I want to have my cake and eat it too. What do you mean, big piece, small piece? I want the cake. I want all the cake. Mother Nature's getting angry. I don't want to share. I don't want to save it for later. That poor dumb son of a bitch doesn't know how much cake he's got, and I'm going to take it before he knows it's gone. I'm going to visit third world countries and swindle them out of their cakes and all future cake rights. Mother Nature says, mind your manners. I am not running out of cake. I will eat all the cake I want for as long as I want. I want cake. Mother Nature's tired of baking. The rest of them are just kind of miscellaneous. The first one is called Nest, and it goes back to when I lived in Alaska. Nest. When the dark cold comes and the ice fog settles in the valleys like an old dog lying down for a long nap, and the frost forms on my hair when I go outside, making me a white-haired woman prematurely, I become enamored of my home. Like a lemming, I line my nest, only they with the dead, dry grasses of summer, and I with my books, my crocheted afghans, my purring companion, and my mate. This is called Destiny's Egg. I wrote it for my cousin last year when he was going through a rough time. I was trying to cheer him up, and my cousin is kind of a hobo kind of person. I'm just whistling down the Dixie Highway, going wherever my thumb can take me. Even while I think that all the gods are with me, I still feel all alone. You will ask me again and again how I came to be here, but I don't have an answer. I'm just singing down yonder in a minor key, Woody's song. I fall asleep to a hobo's lullaby. I march to a hobo's marching tune. Someday the angels will sing me a hobo's dirge. I will ask you again and again why I am here, where I am going. But that's the thing about roads and songs, and gods for that matter. It's not for us to know. The clock has now hit a glare point where I'm not going to be able to see what time it is for a while.
for a poem.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Time to go.
I wrote this after a conversation with Anne-Marie Smith. It's a bad idea to use endearments to try and get something out of her.
Good morning.
It's called Yes We Have Come a Long Way, Baby, and by the way, don't call me baby. Honey, I am not your sweetie pie, neither am I just waiting around for you to tell me that I'm pretty. I don't give a damn if you think so or not. Saying it will, as the saying goes, get you nowhere. From here, we can tell you we only want respect with a generous dash of civility, which is different than chivalry. Figure it out. From here, we can say we've had enough of being patronized, bullied, and forced into mommy roles. From here, we can tell you we have come a long way, but we would hate to think we have made this journey alone. Feminism isn't dead, is it?
She does like to be thanked.
This one kind of goes back to that stereotype of poets as being people that just like to shut themselves away. And I guess I do have, well, of course I have time like that, but try to keep it balanced. That's what this one's kind of about. It's becoming claustrophobic inside my head. It's like being locked in a closet, not the same one the gays were stuck in, or the dwelling of old hidden skeletons. Instead, it's full of musty coats, old suits, and childhood games. If only the door would open. But no one can hear me in here, whether I whisper or whether I shout. I once was verbose, but am becoming taciturn. I once begged for silence, but now I have learned my lesson. I want out. I want to return to the wordful world. And I read that Yawa was a verb, which just kind of set this in motion. It's called Gotting. What is it like to just go around Gotting all day? Easy to imagine how compassion would lead to a halt after only one great flood, but how to stop at only a few pillars of salt? And where is the fun in making bad things happen to good people? Is it okay if first you say, this hurts me more than it hurts you, or this is for your own good? You can see why we have so many parental images in our mishmash of ideas about you. Is guiding the sort of job from which you can never take a vacation? Or is there a private beach you like to visit in some galaxy far, far away? Or maybe you have another planet of children somewhere, and maybe you like them best, and spend most of your time with them, and have washed your guiding hands of us, your bad seeds. I think in every family there's someone who's like the caretaker, who keeps everybody connected, and if somebody's sick, they're going to be the ones who take care of them. And this is for that person in Al's family. It's called Family Ties, Part 1. They bind, of course, but tell me how they are worn. Like a robe, a wraparound skirt, a straitjacket? Are they comfy, cozy, or as excessive as a fur-lined parka during the dog days of August? Are they ripped, torn, faded, patched? 2 sizes too large or too small? Are they just so last year, little fashionista? And as you wear them, do they also wear on you? Part 2. They bind those ties, leaving their marks as the marks of the 4 elements: earth, air, water, fire. Earth holds us our whole lives before it buries us. The air surrounds us. The water sustains us, gives us small respite from gravity's pull, and fire both warms and burns. Even as we keep our home fires burning, those enduring, everlasting ties survive. I spent months trying to write a poem about waiting for Bob Dylan to come back and start singing peace songs again and get us all. And the war. I never successfully finished that one, but I did end up with this. It's called Fierce Peace. We need peace now, and we need it bad. We need to cram flowers down every gun barrel until they can shoot no more. We need peace between the sexes, peace between the parties, peace between the religions, and oh so badly, peace between the races, especially between the races and the religions. I don't mean a pastel peace, pie in the sky peace, pretty pictures in your head of lions sleeping with lambs, or any other fluffy peace. We need fierce peace, fierce enough to keep itself forever. Awesomely beautiful, silent night peace. This is the last one. It's called Raison d'être, Reason for Being. I don't really know what to say about it, except that it comes out of a lot of reading the Sun magazine, if anybody's familiar with that. Be a maverick. Be a lone wolf, not a sheep. Be sultry. Be comical. Be the butt of the joke. Be daring. Dare to be dangerous. Be brave, but be willing to be afraid. Be a little cautious, but only until you can throw caution to the wind, after you've put out one finger to test the wind, and knowing which way the wind is blowing, set your sail to the wind, knowing you will find the answer. Be humble. Be proud. Be loud. Be a raiser of banners and a raiser of protests and a raiser of monuments. Be a raiser of spirits. Be quiet. Appreciate silence. Acquiesce to the powers that be, and let their powers be known through the powers of stillness. Be one candle in the darkness.
Thanks very much, Renee.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, about 10 minutes, and come back for our open mic. We have about 5 readers and room for more. Thanks.
Now, Renee, is that race R-E-I-S-E or race R-E? Yeah. No, I know what you meant.
Yeah, we're right from the library.
Looks like we have 7 readers or performers, so we'll start with Mary Cooling.
I decided, since I had the mic for a minute, I would like to tell you that next Tuesday, Elizabeth Schaefer, who is also a poet, and she's written 700 poems. She's a very good poet, is going to be at Pickford at 7 o'clock, Pickford Community Library. I make that plug because I am the poet night leader there. Okay, first of all, I wanted to read this, and it's kind of long, but I was so thrilled that I had this opportunity to do this. Does this come out?
It does, yeah.
I am a storyteller in the Sioux, and I also lead story spinners here, and this sounds like I'm bragging, but what I wanted to tell you is that in one of my stories about my grandparents, my heritage, there is the story Hiawatha is in there, and it's in there because my story is about Evangeline, my actual personal story. So I thought, well, you know what? I probably should read Hiawatha. Thank you, Susan. So here's Hiawatha, and it's from my very old, torn-up book. You can see it's from my family. Okay. Hiawatha sailing. Give me of your bark, O birch tree, of your yellow bark, O birch tree, growing by the rushing river, tall and stately in the valley. I, a light canoe, will build a swift chimon for sailing that shall float upon the river, like a yellow leaf in autumn, like a yellow water lily. Lay aside your cloak, O birch tree, lay aside your white-skin wrapper, for the summertime is coming, and the sun is warm in heaven, and you need no white-skin wrapper. Thus aloud cried Hiawatha in the solitary forest, by the rushing Tequamana. While the birds were singing gaily, in the moon of the leaves were singing, and the sun from sleep awaking, startled up and said, Behold me. Jesus, this great sun, behold me, and the tree with all its branches, rustled in the breeze of morning, saying with a sigh of patience, Take my cloak, O Hiawatha. With his knife the tree he girdled, just beneath its lowest branches, just above the roots he cut it, till the sap came oozing outward, down the trunk from the top to bottom. Sure he cleft the bark asunder, with a wooden wedge he raised it, stripped it from the trunk unbroken. Give me of your boughs, O cedar, of your strong and pliant branches, my canoe to make more steady, make more strong and firm beneath me. Through the summit of the cedar went a sound, a cry of horror. What a murmur of resistance, but it whispered, bending downward, Take my boughs, O Hiawatha. Down he hewed the boughs of cedar, shaped them straightway to a framework. Like two boughs he formed and shaped them, like two bended boughs together. Give me of your roots, O tamarack, of your fibrous roots, O larch tree, my canoe to bind together, so to bind the ends together that the water may not enter, that the river may not wet me. And the larch with all its fibers shivered in the air of morning, touched his forehead with its tassels, said with one long sigh of sorrow, Take them all, O Hiawatha. From the earth he tore the fibers, tore the tough roots of the larch tree, closely sewed the bark together, bound it closely to the framework. Give me of your balm, O fir tree, of your balsam and your rosin, so to close the seams together, that the water may not enter, that the river may not wet me. And the fir tree, tall and somber, sobbed through all its robes of darkness, rattled like a shore with pebbles, answering wailing, answered weeping, Take my balm, O Hiawatha. And he took the tears of balsam, took the rosins of the fir tree, smeared therewith each seam and fissure, made each crevice safe from water. Give me of your quills, O hedgehog, all your quills, O Caw, the hedgehog. I will make a necklace of them, make a girdle for my beauty, and 2 stars to deck her bosom. From the hollow tree the hedgehog with his sleepy eyes looked at him, shot his shining quills like arrows, saying with a drowsy murmur through the tangle of his whiskers, Take my quills, O Hiawatha. From the ground the quills he gathered, all the little shining arrows, stained them red and blue and yellow, with the juice of roots and berries. Into his canoe he wrought them, round his waist a shining girdle, round its bows a gleaming necklace, on its breast 2 stars resplendent. Thus the birch canoe was builded, in the valley by the river, in the bosom of the forest, and the forest life was in it, all its mystery and its magic, all the lightness of the birch tree, all the toughness of the cedar, all the larch's supple sinews, and it floated on the river, like a yellow leaf in autumn, like a yellow water lily. Paddles none had Hiawatha, paddles none he had or needed, for his thoughts his paddles served him, and his wishes served to guide him, swift or slow, at will he glided, veered to the right or left at pleasure. Then he called aloud to Quanzend, to his friend the strong man Quanzend, saying, Help me clear this river of its sunken logs and sandbars. Straight into the river Quanzend plunged as if he were an otter, dove as if he were a beaver, stood up to his waist in the water, to his armpits in the river, swam and shouted in the river, tugged at sunken logs and branches with his hands he scooped the sandbars, with his feet the ooze and tangle, and thus sailed my Hiawatha down the rushing Tequamana, sailed through all its bends and windings, sailed through all its deeps and shallows, while his friend, the strong man Quanzend, swam the deeps, the shallows waited. Up and down the river went they, in and out among the islands, cleared a spat of root and sandbar, dragged the dead trees from its channel, made its passage safe and certain, made a pathway for the people from its springs among the mountains to the water of Powhatan, to the bay of Tukwamana. Since we're near Tukwamana, and also we're in the Powhatan area, I thought it was fitting to read that here. And I thought the wording was very beautiful, so I wanted to share that. Then, because it's very close to St. Patrick's Day, I couldn't let this happen without doing some kind of Irish thing, so I'm just going to sing this song to you. Okay, here we go. The gypsy rover went o'er the hill, down through the valley so shady. He whistled and he sang till the green wood sprang, and he won the heart of a lady. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green wood sprang, and he won the heart of a lady. She left her father's castle gates, she left her own fond lover, she left her servants and her estate to follow the gypsy rover. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, ah-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Her father saddled his fastest steed, searching these valleys all over, seeking his daughter with great speed, and the gypsy rover. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, ah-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. They finally came to the castle gates, down by the river Glady, and there was music and there was wine for the gypsy and his lady. I sang that verse out of space, so I'm going to go backwards one verse. He is no gypsy, my father, she said, but the lord of these lands all over, and I shall stay till my dying day with my handsome gypsy rover. They finally came to the castle gates, down by the river Glady, and there was music and there was wine for the gypsy and his lady. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, ah-day, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green wood sprang, and he won the heart of a lady.
Our next reader is Frank Blissett.
Cool.
Yep, he's taller.
Just a little bit. I think I know most of you up here, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Frank Blissett, and I've got a couple poems here. One of them, this is a pretty recent one. It comes from a creative writing group we have, and we had a little challenge a while ago, and this was my contribution to the challenge. Yeah, let's see where I'm going to start here. And you endure as well, though not as long as the cosmic beyond. Oh, I'm sorry. I started the wrong place. I had already adjusted it, I forgot. This is called 11 by 11. Now, speed cuts both ways, and cuts through field dress jigsawed camo beige, and the universe too is beige, they say, if you amplify the black background to its enduring hue. And you endure as well, though not as long as the cosmic beyond, unless you could fly faster. Fly fast enough to see east and west slide into one another, and your talismans slide too. No, not your talismans, but theirs now. Your boots won't slide back home, nor rifle, nor helmet, only your grave. In truth, your gravestone is all that's seen, with its short, slanted dash, preceded, as all are, with a baby's breath, and perhaps another baby's breath, unseen, perhaps, starting its own sliding dash towards the great yes. And yes, the rest said to the query again, lest 23 be in vain, as they marched 11 by 11. 11 by 11 they passed, formerly 12 by 12, full dressed for the occasion. And the occasion brought a steady pace, not seen through a year of caged alert and uncaged speed. And here's one kind of memories of the old family homestead down in Ionia, Michigan, and also thinking about snow. And since our snow is leaving us bit by bit, here's Snow is Soon Forgot. The night stars still stand high with winter dawn to come and moonshine falling low over footprints tramping to the barn. But the snow is soon forgot as steaming hulks of Holstein bump the gates and stanchions and bear their heavy loads to him. They wait and grunt for calloused hands to take the yellowed pressure and leave behind last fall's last grass, grown dusty through the winter, and fall's last cobwebs, gossamer in the window, gather up the bits of breath the bull snorts through his corral, and he too is fed when all is done. Then the door is opened once again, releasing dust and bits of breath to the coming morning sun. The footprints leading to the barn, now drifted o'er with snow, will be tramped over on the way back. But snow is soon forgot. I got one more that's not really ready yet, but I'll do it anyways. It's actually got two endings.
It's really fresh, isn't it?
It's actually got two endings. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet, but we'll figure out by the time I get there. 2 years ago, March thaw, anxious to unwrap the rototiller, I broke the drift afront the old pole barn. Black streaked past the broken door into the gray winter day with a raven calling crew of warning. Click, click, click in the rafters, and I peered inside. 20 feet up, a scraggle of branches balanced on the crossing beams, and another big black bird watching. I backtracked slowly and left them to their work. Their stay with us will be transient. 5 years? 10 years, maybe. Like all living things, they take their stretch in the morning and retreat to the old barn at dusk, while the barn leans a little more each year. Thank you.
Next we have Alex Chorney.
I've read here before. I'm a Reiki master teacher, so a lot of my writing is spiritually based. My wife and I and my daughter, we spent 2 months in Mexico in December and January. So we were at a Mayan temple for December 21st, which a lot of people thought, the end of the world, baby. But you know what, as it proves to be, it was not. So this is truly what happened in Palenque, which they say is the most important site in Mesoamerica for the Mayan culture. Palenque, as the key goes into the lock and opens up another door to higher enlightenment, which everybody is being bombarded with. If people are even a little bit open-minded, this is what happens to you. Palenque 2012. The rains came as we did from all walks of life to receive a cleansing to share in a moving moment that would us inspire beyond anything which ever had. Such were the droplets endowing us with a sustenance. For we were on the doorstep, we absorbed emanations, a peaceful splendor from trees whose roots were of infinite length. As along their channels There was a release into the air in the form of showers. For the spirits were heightened to a greater perception, as thoughts were centering upon a transcendence, as we were meditating or singing songs of happiness, for visions were manifesting from a warmth all were exuding. As this time was the time when convergence was peaking, under a celebration of astral configurations. Stars and lights were sparkling, as a radiance was enveloping all, within a wispiness. So then did we gather, creating a circle, from which arose an awakening current that went up and then out, as these wings had opened, ones whose very essence held the promise and the key to unlock the next revolution. When we were in Mexico, we celebrated my wife's mother's birthday, and everybody had a tear after I finished reading this one. Okay? Why is she so loved? A warmth from her exudes, she's like a radiant sun. Such rays do all surround with their shimmering effervescence. She's as quiet as a mouse. But in this silence comes a constant caring that touches all within her circle, which is always expanding, for her heart knows no bounds. She gives and so gives. There's no end to such kindness. From morning to night she goes without stopping, never complaining, always with an ear for others. She listens intently, so misses nothing, catching everything that affects her loved ones. Why then she's so loved? For what she sends out is returned 1,000 times, as blossoms flowering on her tree. For she completes the lives of those near and around. Her thoughts caress the temples of ones in her endearing stream, ones who know full well the extent of her compassionate waves, as if she was an ocean filled with an enduring softness, whose only aspiration is to bring soothing comfort, to make life bearable, to be a rose amongst their thorns. For it's in her sunrise in which all are immersed. Her joy comes from their happiness, from scintillation she sprinkles onto their souls. Long points. This is metaphysical. This is not science fiction, because I truly believe that in another dimensional kind of existence, dragons and unicorns still exist, even though we humans who have blocked our true sense of who and what we are no longer appear, only inside a book of fables thinking that they do. Well, this is my interpretation of what is possible. Long points. As twilight came upon my consciousness, my room was filled with silence. Scintillations came streaming through. With them came the kindness, asking me to remember back when time was rippling under a crescent moon in a meandering forest, where there was this lake, a place with a gathering of all the long points of which I was one. As I felt this closeness, a nearing I'd envisioned, as this was the culmination of my elucidating dreams. For I was being beckoned to complete the circle, as a window had once more opened to envelop rekindling shadows. For unicorns were appearing one by one in succession. My spiritual essence had its spot oscillating. The tunnel I was in was ever so colorful. I could see far below a radiance surrounding, a glowing pulsation, which was equal to mine in each one of theirs. So came my metamorphosis. For as I entered this sphere, I could name each one of them. This turquoise light flowed from its center. Our thoughts held this creation from a circulating effervescence, touching us all simultaneously as our paths aligned along a parallel plane. Last one. Rhythmic flow. The ages empty into one culminating pool, a replenishing reservoir to seed fertile fields of a bright tomorrow, for there is regeneration, as a physical shell lasts only so long. But one's inner beauty, the rhythmic flow, is as eternal as life itself. For there is no ending to those we pay our respects, who pass through transition to find their next step in ascension, whether it is here or somewhere else. in a different form. What matters is one's focus. If they retain consistency, to continue where they left off. So as we near a crossing, this waterfall beckons, one that holds diversity, which celebrates each life well lived, in a circling motion, in a pattern of promising premonitions. For time does not stand still. It is active and resilient, to bring each new dawn filled with thoughts of creation, to build upon the past, to lay the foundation from which can be drawn a path of upward branching that brings through a tunnel into an opening to which, when our eyes adjust, enable us to breathe deeper and see farther than we ever have. Thank you.
Next, we have Matthew Williams.
And you got a haircut.
Yeah. How could you tell?
Because I can see your neck.
Oh. I just wanted to play one song by Daniel Johnson. It's called I Live My Broken Dreams, and I really like this song for some reason.
Today, they probably would have put me in a home. So I gathered my belongings into a garbage bag, and out into the wilderness I did roam. My hopes lay shattered like a mirror on the floor. I see myself and I look scattered, but I live my broken dreams. The wildest summer that I have ever known, I had a flat tire on memory lane, but I came back after 5 months and a half, and now I'm just trying to explain. Now here I am, and here I stand, with a sweet angel holding my hand. I live my broken dreams.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. I guess an older song of mine is let me think. It's called Jaundice. Yeah. I had jaundice when I was a baby, and then so did this other poet lady. And I told her, hey, I had jaundice, and she's like, oh, me too. I was like, who told her?
Eddies and eagles, storms and cranes came tumbling down from heaven when the clouds tore apart. held together. Well, the sky would still probably be grey, massively concrete, a sheet of unending persuasion, applied with purpose and care. I remember the day in a field near home, the mice and cat would play in and out and off and on the grass and gravel. So I'd like to see the where was there to go. I didn't want to leave. I didn't need to have to sing and go. A trick of day, it could happen to me. The lights stopped and memories began to rain. Play that one on ukulele, but I don't have one anymore. I ran out of friends to steal from. Let me see here. This one is I don't steal from my friends. I borrow stuff from them.
If you stole from him, you still have that ukulele.
That's right. For sure. Sad ending. Anyway, this one is. I just wanted to read, I think, a couple poems or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, this one's called a marble table top. Like those ones. It's short. Okay. I carry one from home. Sure, it's heavy and hard to carry, but it makes me feel loved each time I stop to rest and have a meal. Yeah, that's it. Oh, this one. I like this town a lot, partly because of tourists. I don't know if this is like a huge tourist location, but I know they come here. I've seen it here before. Anyway, this is some kind of fantasy I had or something. I don't know if I can properly describe it. City of tourists, of beachgoers, that white wooden town. I wish I lived there at the top, under a buzzing blue sky, sand and roots above. I could wave to the sea monsters below on narrow beach as they eat. They would wave back at me, winking, singing of the taste of tourists, their sweet sounds of industry and happy living. I like sea monsters. Let's read. I'm going to put down some. Want to hear a philosophical joke?
Certainly.
Why? This one is called Cemeteries in the City. I haven't done much traveling, but from the few places that I have been to outside of here, there seems to be a common theme in most towns, and it doesn't matter how big they are, they usually seem to have a cemetery somewhere. And
which is usually pretty odd. They stand out. I don't know. Good place, they say. Anyway, this is it. Stones that never move, facing away towards dust and day, woolen gray, forgetting season's gate. Cemeteries in the city. Grace and peace and silence, sacred may God keep. Rest and death through life, the living seek. Cemeteries in the city. Grace and peace and silence, sacred may God keep. Rest and death through life, the living seek. Cemeteries in the city. Yeah, that's. I have another philosophical joke. No, that's not it. That's bad. I don't take questions again. How do you look at what you can't see?
How? Very careful.
Close. Open your eyes. Yeah. I'm just gonna read one more poem. Let's see here. Sing of unknowns, introduce myself so, walk down barren roads surrounded by birds. Walk unended fright and break their brittle bones of an older fool. How she's lived so long is a mystery. That's right.
We have several more people. Right now we have Linda and Tashella Foregrave.
I'm sure there's two people. I might be two here, I don't know.
Is she the Carolyn?
No. My daughter here picked these out, so. This one is called the Fire Dance. Embers of orange and black dart up towards the sky, dancing left to right, shooting up, out, and down. The orange embers crackle brightly. Twigs, crumpled newspapers, and firewood. The wood turns black with soot and gray block patterns form. Slivers and shavings of black and gray overtake the wood, spreading the black soot further and further. Orange glows on the side of the wood. Excuse me. The fire is reaching out to heaven. A myriad of emotions dance through her mind as she watches the fire burn. She was mesmerized by the flames. The fire peels back the layers of the box that is put on the fire. In 1 minute, the box is soot and ash. The wind and intensity of the fire makes the ashes dance, and the fire sputters. The fire slowly melts the plastic bottle until only the remnants of it are black smoke. A fresh, cool breeze rustles the free fall leaves. Mountain ash, pine, and birch. Water rippling in the creek beside the campsite. Puffs of smoke trail out from around the wood. The smoke dissipates upward into the sky until in the end only smoke and ash dance. This one is called Pure Joy of Daughters. And this one's hard to read. There is nothing more joyous than hearing a baby cry, watching her grow, struggle to sit and crawl, walk for the first time, reaching for your hand, stumbling and getting back up. A beautiful smile lights up her face. Soft baby's hair encircles her tiny face. Trying to climb on furniture, exploring a new world. Looking around in wonder. A piece of lint on the rug becomes something exciting. Excuse me. A pot clangs, a cat wails as its tail is pulled. She takes her first step and life changes. No longer is she dependent on your touch to hold her up. She explores more and more. Before you know it, time has flown. She is saying goodbye on her first day in school. New adventures to explore.
Kids do everything.
The first one's called Aging Dreams. As a child, our dreams consist of toys we want. The bicycle we see in the store, the doll or action figure. As we turn 12, we dream of getting older. When we reach 15, our dreams are of getting a driver's license. At 18, we dream of getting into the right college. At 20, we dream of getting into the career of our choice or getting married. At 25 or sooner, dissolution steps into your thoughts. By 30, we dream of getting away from the stresses of life to someplace carefree and warm. At 40, we give up on our dreams. By 45, we believe our dreams are possible, but out of our reach. By 50, we believe we are too old to have dreams. Where is the child who had such big dreams, lost and all alone? The next one is called The Tree. Rippling muscles, glistening skin, baby food running down her chin, waves splashing on the shore, dishwater splashing on the floor, sand running through my toes, wiping still another runny nose. Seashells on the beach, cans just out of reach, children splashing in the water, trays strewn, broken crayons smashed into the rug, aching muscles, pounding head, nerves fraying, can't wait to get to bed. Palm leaves swaying, music playing, iguana starting across the grass, sun shining down, kids snapping, finally time to lay down. Wake with a jolt, oh, it's just a dream, where here we go again, the start of a new day.
Our next reader is Judy Merrill Smith.
Tonight I decided to read a poem by Natalie Goldberg, who, if you've ever read any writers' how to write manuals, Natalie wrote Running Down Bones. This is a collection of her poems and actually paintings too. I'm also a writer and a visual artist, so I was like, ooh, cool, to see that somebody published both paintings and poems in it. The name of the book is Top of My Lungs, and this is the title poem from it. And this must be the night of singing, so there are a few lines that have to be sung in here, so my apologies in advance. Top of my lungs. Even though I am unhappy, I come home singing at the top of my lungs. Shovel off the new snow and shove it on the old. Open the useless screened porch door and take off my big boots. There are fried eggs, yellow as pearls. The old bed I dive into like a warm whale. The phone ringing, that duck on the wall. And even though I am unhappy, I sleep with the peace of flying angels. And even though I am sad, my wallet's empty. I buy the best soap. And even though my heart is hurting, out of sure will, I come home singing with the last night wind and the first morning star, and the canary, and the summer that was killed below our house. I walk down to the Rainbow Café, call my Catholic friend Mary to come have a drink and eat a turkey sandwich. The down coat I wear all winter still has the goose feathers from 100 flying birds. They let us smoke at our small table. Mary will always meet me here. They fill our glasses with the most sparkling water for free. And the cold moon rises over the marquee of the Suburban World Theater. So, even though I am unhappy, I throw back my old goat throat and sing slowly, "Oh, my darling Clementine," by the beautiful lake in Minnesota, as the pressure of black night cold moves in on us from all 10 directions. I sing to the moon above the lake, "You are lost and gone forever," calling the pure beast of loneliness down from the sky with the old American song haunting city lights, "Dreadful sorry Clementine." And though the very earth has swelled up like an elephant with pain, I stand on its back singing in this sad universe, where one lover leaves another for all time and nothing to say with your feet on the ground.
Next we have Al Seymour.
Well, I'm not the poet in the family, but I do sing songs, so. This first song was written by Mike Smith, who's a folk singer and social worker in Detroit. And it's called When I Say I'm Me. When the noon tucks the meadows into dreams, when the trees bow their branches and kiss the streams, when the thunder shouts its sound with the birth of a newborn day, it's then you'll know who I am when I say I'm me. When eternity is no longer a breath away, when the mountains bow their heads, begin to pray, and when the lightning strikes the sky with the birth of a morning rain, it's then you'll know who I am when I say I'm me. Right now, I'm not what I seem to be, 'cause there's two voices a-fighting inside of me. But when I come out the winner, the other will die and drop away. It's then you'll know who I am when I say I'm me. So just sort of stand by me while you can. And when it's time to split, I'll understand. And when my words no longer whisper and echo endlessly, was then I know who I am. When I say I'm just love for these few minutes, that's all I ask. I'm not asking for your life for one whole day. And when the leaves begin to laughing and hate was once a word, was then you know who I am. When I say I'm me, and when souls stand naked at the end, will you recognize your enemies from your friends? And when your true self stands before you, will you welcome what you see? 'Cause then you'll know who I am. When I say I'm me, 'cause then you'll know who I am. When I say I'm me. Well, I'd like to acknowledge Renee's parents. Parents are what forms us, and they're here tonight. I'll say that because this is a song I wrote when I was thinking about my dad. It's called Storm and Norman. When you're tired and lonely and a penny from broad, you got no money, you can't see the light, you go through your days, you know you work all night just to prove you can make it alright. You're just kinda restless all night, yeah, to keep on trucking, you keep on loving, you're storming, oh Norman. A 69's hammer wasn't nothing at all. He gripped it like a pen, you know he moved that real well, and always dead center on the matters at hand, to let you know it's alright. Kinda restless all night, yeah, but he keeps on trucking, he keeps on loving, and storming, oh Norman. I'm not used to playing standing up, sorry. No, it's alright. He's seen her bottom line of a bottle of booze. There are 12 good reasons in this woman who cared. So give him a wink, or won't you give him a smile? 'Cause it's really alright, my old man. He's just kinda restless all night, yeah, but he keeps on trucking, he keeps on loving, he's storming, oh Norman. I think you can hear me without the the mic, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing a very good job.
I was only gonna do those 2 songs, but
Since we've encouraged.
as long as I have a captive audience, not my cats. Actually, they leave the room when I play, but this is a John Denver song. I just can't believe it's true. It's like I've never, ever loved
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Renee, and thank you for all the readers and the performers. That was wonderful. We'll see you May 9th, if not before.